We're here learning more about flipping out with Flipgrid. Our objective is to become a little bit more familiar with some of the extra features like creating a short or a screencast, creating or utilizing the Disco library or creating a mixtape, and different ways to incorporate Flipgrid into your classrooms to empower every student's voice. My favorite is the feedback feature where each student has their own channel and they can go back through anything that they've ever submitted to Flipgrid and review the feedback that they got on any of those items. Flipgrid gives us an opportunity to improve learning in many ways. The biggest one is providing feedback. They can explain something and you can give them a video feedback, you can give them typed up feedback, you can utilize rubrics to give them an assessment on their video shorts. And Flipgrid can be used at any level. You can use it with your littlest of students. I'll show you an example in a bit, and your older students. So here we've got this example of using Flipgrid in high school to review concepts taught and themes in Romeo and Juliet. So here I have an example of a Flipgrid short that I created. Now what I'm going to do right now is exit out of this presentation and I'm going to switch the way I'm sharing my screen. The reason that I'm switching the way I'm sharing my screen is I want to be able to have video play to where you can hear the audio. If you're presenting in Meet using your entire screen, or a window, and you're trying to play a video and you want your audience to be able to hear the audio, it's not going to happen. If you choose to use a Chrome tab, notice right here it does give you a hint that the best for video and animation, you need to select the tab that you want to present with. So I'll go back and select which tab I want to share. And now I can share this tab. And while sharing this tab, you're going to be able to hear the audio that's attached to it. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to see that you're here for Flipping with Flipgrid, where we're going to learn a couple of the advanced features that are available in Flipgrid. And as you know, Flipgrid is that video recording where you can amplify every voice. We're also very, very familiar with the old icons and that famous green circle where we do our recordings, but just look out, here's the new logo coming soon to Flipgrid near you. What I'm doing right now is showing you an example of a short. You can record your short for making announcements for parents. You can put them in your learning management system. You can record something for a tweet to go out, your reflection, or you can also create a short to introduce a new topic. You have lots of tools here in the short option, and I can't wait to get going. All right. So with that, I am going to switch my tab that I'm using so I can get into Flipgrid itself and show you the advantage of creating a short inside Flipgrid. And this is my landing page. So I've already created 4 different grids. And again, this is a run session. Hopefully you've already created your own grids and you've used school email as the suggested way to get in and so forth and so on. But I want to show you the shorts. So we're going to come up here to shorts. And here is the video that you just saw in our presentation for today. Okay? Super easy. When you're ready to record a short, you're going to click here. And I can't record a short during this presentation because I'm already utilizing my microphone and my camera. But you can click here and record your short for whatever purpose you have. Within my presentation, I have how to record a short, and we have a video from Justin on how to record screen recording in your Flipgrid. So you can also, many of us have been using things like Screencastify, where we record our screen and maybe it records our voices talking through a whiteboard, showing the kids how to solve a problem, or showing them how to navigate a website, or how to do a particular assignment. Well, you can actually do those screen recordings also here in Flipgrid Shorts. So I'm going to change my mode of presentation. So just know you have this all to go back to. One of the best advantages about using that Flipgrid camera are the Flipgrid tools. Since I can't record a Flipgrid live right now, I'm going to walk you through just the simplest of tools. Your very first tool you see when you're allowed to use the camera is this, which is changing your filters. It changes how it looks. Your very next tool is the different text tools. So you have different fonts you can use. And everybody has fun with stickers, so we have lots of emojis listed in our stickers. The drawing tool allows you to write on the screen while you are recording, and this is a fantastic way to have students walk you through their thinking process. So if they're doing a particular assignment, maybe solving a problem in math, they can do it and talk about it. They can do it on a board. So in your Flipgrid screen, this tool right here will give them an option to have either a whiteboard or a blackboard to write on. And this is where they can do that thinking process and share that with you. And then you can put in custom stickers. So those are some of the tools that are available in the Flipgrid camera that really enhance what you're doing with your classes. Here are the directions and a link to a blog that talks you through how to use shorts in the classroom and how to create that short. And again, I've shared with you this quick video that Justin showed you how you can use the short camera, but actually create a screen recording. So the one that I shared with you that I created was just a video short. It would be great for a morning meeting introduction. And then the one that we have here is where he's recording not only himself, but the screen is showing you everything that you can see on the screen. So again, that's how you do those great how-to lessons. Record yourself so you can share it within your students in Schoology.
So what I would like to show you at this time is how you can take any one of your video shorts and put it into Schoology. So I'm going to click here on my short, and you see that one way to do that is to just copy this link. Then I can go into my Schoology course, and there's a couple different ways I can do this. So I could go to add a link, an external tool. One of the ways that you can do that is maybe you want to add a page. And within this page, I could go ahead and insert that link. So here is that page that I just added. And then there is my Flipgrid short. Now that is not my favorite way, but it is one way that you can add that Flipgrid video into Schoology. Let me show you one of my preferences. I really like doing it, embedding it into a page. So if you are in Flipgrid, you grab the embed code. Go back into Schoology. And then here, you're going to switch to HTML, and you're going to paste that embed code in. I like to have it displayed in line and say create. This way you actually see that video being placed in here. And there it is. So 3 different ways that you can take a short out of your Flipgrid and put it into your Schoology courses. You could either add it into a link, you can put it on a page as a link, or you can throw it, the embed code, into the page that it displays like this.
Flipgrid is now also integrated with Nearpod. So I'll walk you through those steps of how to integrate Flipgrid in Nearpod in just a minute. And then we'll go into the Disco library. So I'm going to go ahead and escape out of this one. And let's talk about Nearpod. Let's say that you're creating a lesson. You can create your Nearpod lessons, as you know, either in Nearpod or in Google Slides. But just to model what I'm doing here, I'm going to go ahead and just create a Nearpod lesson here inside Nearpod. And I'm going to show you that if you come to activities, one of the activities that's now incorporated in Nearpod is Flipgrid. It's asking you for two different things. It's asking you for the teacher URL and the student URL. Let me show you what they're talking about. So if I'm in Flipgrid and I'm at one of my grids, and I'm going to go to my first grid here, which is Acito, and a grid is basically your collection of your topics. And I have a topic here of tongue twister challenge for my students. So what I want to do here is I'm going to get the share button to grab that link. This is the student link. This is the one that you need to have in order to send the students to your grid. Now, that teacher link is to your grid itself. This is your share button here. Your teacher link is also displayed here in your URL box. So you can just copy this, go into Nearpod, and paste that in. So when I add these items, it's ready to go. So let's take a look at my Nearpod. Let's give it a quick title. Going back into my library. So you can see this is what I just created. You do have to save it. I'm going to go into a live lesson. No, you don't need to use this. You don't need to grab the code. You don't need to come into the lesson. I'm just going to model this for you real quick. So I only had one slide, and it took me, the teacher, right into the teacher grid. So I could come in here and monitor what's happening and what's getting dropped in for this particular topic. Now, if I switch views, at your top right-hand corner in Nearpod, there's a student view. If I switch views, I can see what the students are looking at. And then you're going to see here why they needed a separate URL. So I'm going to become a student for a minute. And here is where the students will see the topic. And then they get to choose here which tongue twister they're willing to read. And when they're ready, they can come here and add to the topic. Now, again, I can't at this time because I'm currently using my camera and my microphone. So hopefully you understand that there is the student view and the teacher view in Nearpod. So you need to, when you incorporate Flipgrid into your Nearpods, go ahead and add a student URL and the teacher URL so you can monitor while you're in that lesson. So in Nearpod, I'm switching back to that teacher view. All right. So I'm going to go from this particular topic talking about disco libraries. Here is your disco library. And I love the disco library because as teachers, it is so good to pull ideas from other people, and why reinvent the wheel and start from scratch when other people have already shared out so many different lessons that you can utilize. So within that disco library, there are featured playlists. Some of these playlists are sponsors by companies that we know and use. For example, Epic. Many of us use Epic books in our classroom. So I can come here and file through some different Flipgrid topics that have already been created using Epic books. So here they have a picture of what the book is. This is the topic for the Flipgrid itself, the student response. So you can come in here and visit any one of these. While you're previewing it, if you like it, you can add it to your disco library. So you can kind of curate your own playlist. So these are the ones that I've just recently added to my own disco library. All these 23,733 topics in this disco library. I think it was because I was still on Epic. So let's try. Aha! Yes, I needed to clear my filter. Sorry about that. So here I've searched for a middle school topic under the subject of language arts. And here we're finding lots of different items to use. Introduce yourself would be a great one for the beginning of the year. Let me explore this topic. So you just need to click on it to explore the topic. You can see that they've already created directions. And they have this attachment here. If you like this particular topic and would like to use it, all you need to do is add it to one of your grids. So I'm going to add it to my Acito grid. And now it does give me the opportunity to personalize it. So maybe I want to come in here and change some of the directions. I can change the recording time. Flipgrid always defaults to 1 minute 30 seconds, which is definitely a sufficient time. I wouldn't go over that unless you're really having them do some sort of presentation to submit to you through Flipgrid. 1 minute 30 is longer than it sounds. Definitely, probably do not want to listen to a whole bunch of students at 10-minute presentations because sometimes they feel like they need to fill in the whole time. Video moderation. So if you don't want the video to be posted until you've had a chance to go through and look at it, you know your students, you know if you need to turn this feature on or off. So I could change my focus if I wanted to. I can modify this particular topic in any way. So I'm going to go ahead and update with the changes that I put in. So now when I go into my particular grid, you will see that this new topic has been added. You can see I have a symbol here letting me know, reminding me that I have set to moderate it. Okay. So again, one of the huge advantages to that disco library is that you're not reinventing the wheel. You can go and search what tons of other educators have already shared in that disco library. One of my favorite features that I like is the MixtTapes. If you have never created a MixtTape, these are quite fun. So if I say I'm going to add a new MixtTape, and maybe this is my year in review. So you can come in here and fill your fields out to customize this as you want. And I'm going to start creating this MixtTape. What this will allow me to do is I can take different topic videos students have submitted and I can add it to this MixtTape. So if I come in here and I want to take the best of the best, let's say that I know that this student right here had a great example of a tongue twister, then I'm going to add it to my MixtTape. So here's my year in review MixtTape that I just started. So I've added that one in. Okay, and I can go through all my different grids. So you're making an example of one here, one here. I know I have a great example of my students here doing a 2D drawing, two-dimensional drawing. So they did it out of 2D shapes, and I want to add that to my MixtTape. So here you kind of see now that here's my MixtTape and I'm able to share this MixtTape. When I share this, it is going to take whoever has that link to just those video examples. So here's that tongue twister one and here was the shape one and it's ready to share. Hint, hint, one of my favorite things to do with a MixtTape is to create an artifact for Invest. At the end of the year, I want to show how I've used technology, incorporated in my classroom, and I can go through all of my grids and all of my topics and pick out some of my absolute favorite examples that have been submitted and create that MixtTape share that link into my Invest, and now they have an example or a great artifact of what I've been doing all year in my classroom. One of the best ways to utilize Flipgrid is that feedback feature. So I'm going to take a look into Flipgrid that was submitted. You can see here that I could grade it on a rubric that I have already pre-set up. I can give comments. I can even reply in a video. And they love that. It's a conversation back and forth. So with us doing distance learning, it is definitely a way to connect with our students, and it is a secured way to connect with our students one-on-one. One of the best ways for the students to go in and take a look at that feedback is any student can go to myflipgrid.com. So if you just include this link into your Schoology course, so this student sees every single video she has ever recorded in Flipgrid that ties back to her student credentials. So it could be from prior years and prior classes, and she can see the feedback here. So as an educator, if I've said, then when she comes in to look at this, and I'm going to refresh so that it will load, that she has some feedback. She can come in here now into her own personalized student channel and view her feedback. And she sees the feedback that I shared with her. So there's another example of an advanced way to use Flipgrid. I'm going to pop back into this presentation just to show you some features I've shared with you so you can reference. I have showed you the Disco library, but right here, very, very, very valuable is this Educator's Guide to the Flipgrid ebook. If you're new to Flipgrid, or even if you are an expert at Flipgrid but want to learn more about the advanced features, this is the guide to read. One of my favorite items in this directions manual, because it talks about all different features in Flipgrid, is the Creator's Guide. And the Creator's Guide is a great one to share with your students because it pretty much talks them step by step on how to use Flipgrid. So here are the directions for our teachers, you guys, creating your grids. And this guide for students is fabulous. So this Creator's Guide is one of the things that I would share with students, because this tells them exactly how to use the features in Flipgrid. Tells them how to go to myflipgrid.com, like I showed you, where it's that personal students channel. They get to see the feedback from all of their submissions, even from years prior. And I did show you how to compile a mixed tape. Super easy, great way to show off what you've done through the year. So at this point in time, it's kind of a wrap, but I definitely want to go back to any questions we might have. Once you have your educator's account and you're able to sign into Flipgrid, it's going to ask you to start to make a grid. So I'm going to make a new grid. And we strongly recommend that you use school email. There's more work involved with student ID, and we want this to be a closed and safe environment and guarded. So when we set it up using school email, it allows us to keep it within Aldine. So I'm going to say school email. I'm good with this Flipgrid code, so I'm going to say next. And it recognized my domain. So all the teachers in the district have the domain of @aldineisd.org. So they've already added that one. You need to take a minute to also add the student domain into creating your grid. So @aldine-isd.org is that domain. You will have to hit enter for this to turn blue. If it's not blue, it didn't get entered into the system. So even though a minute ago I had just typed it and I could see it, until it turns blue, it's not going to take it. So I'm going to hit enter. Now it's blue, and now I'm going to hit next. So now all the students need to do in order to start working on a grid is either have your grid URL here. Now, if I give them this URL, it's going to give them access to every single topic in that grid at one time. So some people they prefer to have it that way, so students can go back to prior topics. And other people want them to just do a topic at a time. So I'm not going to copy this. I'm just going to go to my grid. And just remember, you always have options. So I can share the URL to the entire grid, or if I've created a topic, I can share the URL just to the topic. So they're not going to see my other topics within my grid. The only thing a student is going to need is this URL. So when they click on the link, let's say in Schoology, you've placed this link, or in Nearpod, and then they're going to sign in with their Google credentials. Because you set it up by email and you put in their domain, the @aldine-isd.org, they're going to be able to sign in without a password, but it's secured. So let me just break down. I'm going to bring you back to a grid that has topics. So like I said earlier, if you want to share your entire grid, which means they're going to be able to see every single topic you have in the grid, then this is where you're going to pull the URL for that grid. If you only want to share certain topics at a time, you'll see the topic you want to share come here, and you're going to pull the URL for just the topic. So now they only see the topic at a time instead of the grid. I hope that cleared that up a little bit and answered that question. So again, you were asking for the student to be able to reply when they view their feedback. Maybe because I only sent, I didn't send her a reply, an actual reply, because I can't on the video right now because I'm using my camera and I'm using my microphone. But if I had graded her Flipgrid, and in this feedback, I have a chance to hit reply here and give her feedback this way. So then this is where it's going to allow for more two-way, because then she's going to be able to see that reply when she's in her grid. See, I'm back into her grid. When you set up your grids and your topics, you also can allow whether students can reply to one another or not. Those are some certain features that are in the grids themselves. But that's kind of covered in the walk session. If you're not familiar with it though, definitely go back to that educator's guide that I'm going to share with you, and it will give you some hints and tips and tricks about how to set up your grids. Each one of these replies or student links, this is the QR code. So this particular QR code right here would bring you just to her response to this particular topic. If you want to share out an entire grid, then you come here, and then this is me sharing this whole topic. So it would be all the responses for the topic, not just a student. So they're releasing a bunch of updates starting August 5th. So here we are, just a week away from all these updates. So right here in the presentation that I'm going to share with you, this link here is talking about some of the upcoming changes to Flipgrid. So you can review what's coming up. Of course, there'll be a lot more how-tos coming your way soon too.